up, guys? Welcome to a brand new hour of CBS Sports HQ. I'm Haley Sutton. We are just 108 days away from Game 1 of the 2025 NFL season. Can you believe it? It's a game that'll see my Dallas Cowboys try and set the tone against their division rival and, of course, the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. That one gets underway on September 4th. But it has been a busy offseason for Philly quarterback Jalen Hurts. He was named the Global Flag Football Ambassador at the end of the Paris Games last summer. And now the superstar quarterback could potentially be suiting up for the sport in a few years. Of course, following the news out at owners' meetings, a vote later today is expected to be heard in Minneapolis as the league is expected to approve allowing players to take part in Olympic flag football in 2028. Now, to be approved, at least 24 of the 32 owners must agree. The vote is expected a little after 4 Eastern later this afternoon. Now, if the owners approve, the league and players union would have to agree with Olympic officials and flag football governing bodies to allow those NFL players to participate. That's a whole lot of words, so let's break it down. And to do so, we bring in our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, and we've also got Pete Prisco, our longtime NFL analyst, to weigh in. I mean, JJ, this is now, what, the second time in 6 weeks that the owners have big decisions to make, and it all starts with the flag football in the Olympics. Everyone wants to know if they're going to be able to see their favorite star suit up in 2028. What's the latest?
Haley, the answer is yes. Ultimately, NFL players are going to be approved to play in the 2028 Summer Games taking place in Los Angeles. It's the inaugural event. The NFL has been pushing flag football for some time, wants to grow the game, wants to be a global sport. And so today's resolution, which frankly is going to be rubber stamped, is the next step in all of this. There is still a number of considerations to work through. In fact, Haley, this resolution today is really, when you read it, it says the NFL and the NFL Management Council now have the ability to discuss how players will be able to play in the Summer Olympics. So it's okay that they play. Now it's all about the how. Now it is about insurance policies. Now it's about what players from what teams can go, because only one player from each team can represent the United States. Ultimately, this is going to be a group of 12 or so players, 5 to the team actually on the field, right? But ultimately 12 or so players. When are they going to practice, right? Is this going to, I know the 2028 games take place in mid to late July. They're going to start practicing in 2027. How do you work around the NFL schedule? And then when the rubber meets the road, when we get to the Olympics, who is going to be willing to miss training camp? You talk about a quarterback, right? Whether it's a Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, are the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Bills, are they going to be okay with their quarterback, with their wide receiver, with their tight end missing a huge chunk of training camps for going for the gold for their country? All of these things have to be worked out. But today's resolution says now you all can go figure out how to work this out.
Yeah, I could just see somebody giving up a chance to win a Super Bowl to go beat Montenegro or Yugoslavia, the old Yugoslavia or whatever, Germany, Great Britain. Give me a break. Look, I get it. It's fun to open up flag football. It's fun to make it possible for players to play. The NFL players, the star players, not going to play in this, and nor should he. Could you imagine if a guy is playing in the Olympics and he's running a route and he tears his ACL a month before he's supposed to be at training camp? It makes no sense to me. Look, they can win the gold medal with a bunch of guys from the XFL playing. They don't need these guys to play, nor do I think a lot of the stars will play.
And look, I think that is a fantastic question. That is a fantastic concern that a lot of NFL owners ultimately are going to have. Right now, it's just a theory, right, Haley and Pete? Right now, it is, yeah, of course, go represent our country in the Olympics that are taking place in our country. But what happens when there is a Paul George-like injury? Remember, Paul George had that gruesome injury during FIBA and in the preparation for the Olympics, and then was out that upcoming season. And so when you actually get to the point of, do we want our player to play? A, it truly is a question of money. It really, truly is a question of insurance and who's paying for what. B, if an injury does happen, and that's why there's also provisions in this resolution that says, hey, NFL Players Association, make sure that you, in consultation with others, ensure that the playing surfaces meet our standards. All of those things have to be worked out. I do believe that they will be worked out. I do believe that in 2028, you will see mostly NFL players. Now, there is a question about whether some of the top flag football players who are out there, maybe there's an honorary one or two that get on the team, a la the 92 Dream Team, right? When they had, Christian Laettner as a college player on that group with a number of Hall of Famers. So something like that can happen. But again, a couple years, they'll get it figured out. You'll mostly see NFL players out there, but there are going to be some owners who are watching it saying, hope everything's going to be okay.
It's certainly a lot to think about when you weigh, do you want the opportunity to win a gold medal or do you want to focus on the Super Bowl? A lot of things will have to go into effect. The good news is we have a lot of time to get there, JJ. The 2028 Olympics coming to the USA for the first time since 1996. So that's just one of several topics of conversation there. The Tush Push, Pete, obviously has been quite controversial as the years have gone on. The owners decided in March that they needed more time to think about it. And so now the Packers kind of took advantage of it. They changed the wording to how they proposed this rule. Essentially, Pete, it basically says a teammate can no longer assist in a play unless it's in run blocking. Do you think this is going to pass?
I do, in large part because I think the league office is pushing this. They want the play out, and when the league office pushes for something, when there's a meeting where there's no coaches or general managers, just the owners, usually they get their way. And so I do think it's going away. I hate the play. I'll be honest about it. I hate the play. I think it's a terrible football play, but I respect the play. I understand it. Listening and talking with Nick Sirianni about the way they developed that play, and JJ was with me at the league meetings when we were talking to him about it. They've done a lot of work on the play and made it theirs and made it successful. So we're penalizing the Eagles for being better and more innovative than anybody else. I don't like it from that standpoint. I hate the play, but I do think the league office is pushing to get the play out, and I think ultimately it will go.
Yeah, we'll see ultimately if they get the 24 votes necessary. That's going to be voted upon on Wednesday. I think it is very possible that they do get the votes necessary to effectively ban the Tush Push. What they are going back to, well, first of all, I want to say this. The Green Bay proposal, as it was constituted in March, it was a bad proposal. It was poor language. It left so much open to interpretation in terms of immediately shoving the player at the snap, all of those things. They just needed simple language. And what they did was they went back to the basics. The pre-2005 rule that really prohibited pushing and pulling of ball carriers at anywhere on the field, that had been present from the start of the NFL in 1920 all the way up to the mid-2000s. Then they changed it. It was hard for officials to officiate it all the way down the field. Now, this is about going back to that. And what the league will always be able to say is this is a health and safety issue, right? We don't want to see the pileups. We don't want to see ball carriers get lifted up off the ground. Injuries can take place there. And so unless the Philadelphia Eagles have done an incredible amount of campaigning, and they have done a lot, but if they have swayed enough fellow NFL owners, Jeffrey Lurie owning the Philadelphia Eagles, to vote against this proposal, I see it passing as it's constituted right now. But I'll just say this, Haley, we've been surprised before. You can whip up some votes. You can go against it on a Tuesday night, and all of a sudden, however you felt on Tuesday, it's different on Wednesday. But this has as good a chance of passing as it ever has in terms of banning the Tush Push.
Well, listen, JJ, we don't know what the future holds in terms of the Tush Push. We have to wait till 4 o'clock later today. But thank you for reminding us what could have been the final Tush Push from the Super Bowl that you posted on your Twitter earlier today. So in case you're wondering what the Tush Push looked like, go back and take a look at JJ's Twitter page there between the Eagles and the Chiefs. Lastly here, guys, want to touch on another rule change from the Detroit Lions, which this one's kind of funny to me. It regards the playoff seeding when it comes to how the wild card teams are stacked. So under this new rule proposed by the Lions, 7 teams still make the playoffs. That isn't changing, but it's the order maybe that we're looking at here based on record, JJ. Why the Lions proposing this rule, and do you think that there are any legs to it when it comes to the conversations that the owners are having?
Yeah, so still 7 teams, and still, if you win your division, you still make the playoffs. It's just that you don't automatically get a top 4 seed and a home playoff game. So that is the difference. That is the reimagining. We see right there the Vikings as the 3 seed. Remember that Lions-Vikings game in the final week, that final game of the season? It was for the first round bye, the number 1 seed, and the loser got the 5th seed and wound up going on the road. So the Vikings in this constitution would get a home game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I do not believe that this is ultimately going to pass this year. I think it's too radical. I don't think the NFL team owners are ready for it. And I also think that there's too much of a cliche about divisions have to matter and we should get a home playoff game. Well, look, the math doesn't change. 1 out of 4 teams every year has an opportunity to host a playoff game. If you win your division's made of 4, 1 out of 4, there you go. Well, in this sort of changing, 4 teams are still going to get home playoff games each conference. 4 out of 16, 1 out of 4. Simple math, Pete. Try to keep up. I know you went to Arizona State. And so when I'm looking at this, I can see that this could ultimately change whenever the NFL goes to 18 games. Because the more games you add, the less divisions matter because you have more games outside of your division than you do in. But until then, I don't think it's going to change. So when they go to 18 games, maybe in 2, maybe in 3 years, I can see this absolutely kicking into gear. Right now, it's just letting people get used to the idea of a potential change.
Wes, come on. Are you kidding me? Don't dare.
I'm with you there. I'm a resident Sun Devil now.
That's right.
So, JJ, we won't take any ASU slander on this
No, we're not taking any of that. By the way, I think ultimately this is because what happens at the end of the season. We're seeing games that don't mean anything, and the NFL hates games that don't matter. And I think when JJ mentioned, when they go to 18 games, I think this is something they will definitely do. Here's my take on it. If you're not going to have division winners get rewarded by being the number 1 seed or the 3 seed or get a home game or whatever, because somebody has a better record outside the division, why even have the divisions? That's where I think the thing, why not just stack them? You know, the AFC and the NFC, no divisions.
That's kind of been the push in the NBA, too, where they're just saying get rid of it and just
And I personally like division games because I think you form rivalries. The Cowboys have a rivalry with, you know, Washington, with the Eagles, and with the Giants, and in other divisions. But you know what this is all in? When you look at teams that won divisions that didn't have winning records, and everybody always goes nuts when those teams host playoff games.
AFC South.
Yeah, but it's all cyclical. It goes around.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. So either you get rid of the divisions or in some format you reward that division winner. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to me.
We're 108 days out, and Pete Prisco is already in NFL full season form. JJ, we appreciate your time this morning as well. A lot of news changes to keep our eye on as the NFL inches closer. And a reminder, make CBS Sports HQ your home for all things NFL 24/7, streaming on Paramount Plus and on the CBS Sports app. We keep you updated with the latest news, highlights, and scores.